Hello, thanks for dropping in. For those that have not seen inside a 3-board SuperPET, I thought I would shine a little light on the subject and show you what it looks like inside a SuperPET with 3 boards. The power supply is the same, everything is much the same, and it really was a brilliant design in that I can't show you right now, but basically these 2 boards on the top are their own thing. There, if I remember rightly, and I think I do, and I can't really see it, but basically the 6502 chip leaves its socket and goes up to the middle board where there is a socket for it to go. And a ribbon cable goes into that socket and goes to the middle board, and there's a 6809 on that board, as well as other supporting hardware and chips and things, and up above is RAM, and I'm sure perhaps other things. I don't know all the ins and outs of how this is, but really, the upper 2 boards, it's sort of like in some of those movies where there's kind of like the host and the other creature living within it. Well, that's kind of what the SuperPET is like, in that if you take the SuperPET board out, plug everything back in the way it was, you've got an 8032. So yes, the 8032 is the host for the SuperPET and all its magic. And it really was something back in the day to think that there was one machine that could do all these languages. Now, of course, with a SuperPET, there's no languages in here, not like the PET where BASIC is in there. There are no languages in the board. You must have the supporting disks, and these days, of course, probably means an SD card that has the files on it, so it can read them in, so you can do the languages. That is how it worked. But it was quite something in that if you look towards the front right of the middle board, there's an RS-232 port, which was key to communications back in the day. Many modems used that port, and it is reported, of course, that people would do their programming on this machine or one like it, and then just go to their either have it at home or probably it meant a modem connected, but I think there were other people who connected directly somehow to their mainframe, which, mainframe computers, like universities and stuff, used to have computer rooms that were these special things with like fake floors and cables and fans and temperature controlled, and not quite as clean as clean rooms, but serious stuff. And people would take and do their programming and then port it over to the mainframe. How? Well, because there's an RS-232 port on there. And like the 64, there were modems that you could use on it, but you needed an RS-232 port, and there was an adapter by Commodore. I'm sure there were others, and some modems, they came with a special cable. They did. But anyway, the RS-232 port is quite a beautiful thing, and I'm sure immediately when they put this together, they were thinking, how do we get this stuff out of here and put it on something else? Through the port. So as we look in here, and I think I made this clear, I'm really not a fan of tinkering around in monitors, so I don't. Anyway, here's the power supply, and the main power runs to here, but then on the second board, and then there's a jumper that jumps it down to the 8032 board. So the power is all nicely shared between boards, and this is the keyboard cable. And I've got to look at that because I think in a lot of ways, as I peek at it, I think the connector is very similar. And I had a question from Rudy of Rudy's Retro Intel about, is the PET keyboard, could it work on another machine? And I immediately thought, well, the connector is different. But then, looking down here, I'm not so sure it is. So I guess the thing to do at some point is to just give it a try. I think that there are some of the screws that would hold the keyboard in place that are missing, although all of the ones that hold the actual bottom of the keyboard seem to be there. But I think there should be some more screws holding this in, but you can't see that. What else do we have here? Well, we've got a lot of stuff, and because, of course, there's so much in there, it's hard to see. I don't know what this thing is. I have no clue. I think I've had a machine like this before. It probably had that in there. Looks like an expansion port thing. I'm sure it is quite necessary. And it looks like behind it there are places that you could put other expansion port things. But I don't know that anyone ever has done such a thing. There are people, I'm sure, who are SuperPET people, and they would know much more. One other thing in here, and it's easy to see that this, yes, it was in the basement of an active and avid and very fine woodworker. So there is the remnants of sawdust dust in here. Like if I take my finger and I rub it across this chip suddenly becomes a lot more easy to see. So there is a layer of dust, and I am, well, I'm not going to take a leaf blower to get it out of there. As I say, the next thing I think I will do is, oh, well, that didn't sound quite the same. Oh, now we have a green thing in the middle of the screen. Try that again. Okay, well, I'm encouraged. It makes the right noise, but it does not appear, or things do not appear on the monitor. Oh, well, all part of the process of figuring out what's what and what works and what doesn't. I would like eventually for this to all work. And actually, it's funny, some years ago, as I was tinkering and collecting and doing other things, I realized that, because there were people interested in SuperPETs, I realized, my word, I'm running out of SuperPETs. And so I wasn't that I consciously thought, oh, I got to get more, but there were some that appeared. And what I did find with most of them, if not all of them, is that the 8032 board had issues, but the SuperPET board always worked. Very strange, very strange. Anyway, we'll see more of that as I start to gather the pets together. And I'm sure I have one or two or more such machines that say SuperPET, but have no such board anymore. Anyway, so I will continue to explore what's what and what is up with this fine machine. And what does that mean? Well, at the moment, because I am trying to gather all the pets together and I am trying to clean up and have a workspace to test 64s and VIC-20s and other such things, I don't think I'm going to jump at this right now. I will turn it off. No, I will turn it on. And a green thing appears in the middle of the screen. I never liked that. Alright, we'll turn it off. I'm going to unplug it. And what I really need to do is gather things and I guess put things in some boxes and mark them carefully, pack them carefully. I'm not really going to move them much, just to get stuff out of the way so that then I can begin the process of having a clear space to start, and at the end of a project, clear the space. But at the moment, that's pretty impossible, because you know things happen. So enough of that. Here I will leave you with the innards of a Commodore SP9000, otherwise known as a SuperPET. And super indeed it was. I would be fascinated to know if anybody out there has the T-Pug project, which gave this machine OS 9. I don't know how many were made, but I know they were made, and I don't know what it involved. I remember hearing about it, but I never saw what was what. So, interesting. I bet you they are rare, but perhaps highly prized. If for no other reason that they're rare, that they would be highly prized. All right, thanks for coming. Stay tuned. There will be more episodes about more things, all kinds of things. I have too many things. All right, just one last thing here.
Look out behind you.
Always good advice. Thanks so much for being here. Bye for now.